Since the earliest days of white settlement, Australia's development has been built around the two primary industries, agriculture and mining. The farm and the quarry have largely operated in peaceful coexistence. But across many rural areas, farmers and miners are now at loggerheads. The controversial search for coal seam gas over big areas of Queensland and New South Wales has only served to fuel the conflict. The farmers are worried that the ever-widening search for resources is jeopardising their livelihoods and Australia's long-term food production. From the Liverpool Plains in northwestern New South Wales, here's Paul Lockyer.
The winter grain crop is popping up through the rich black soil of the Liverpool Plains. Come spring, this valley will be bursting with food as preparations are made for harvest. On a nearby ridge, other plans are underway.
The second pit will start just down the bottom of this hill and take this hillside out and go down to 150 metres off the edge of the Black Soil Plains.
Joe Carter is the project director of a huge open-cut mine proposed by Shenhua Watermark, a Chinese government-controlled mining company. It's hoped that the mine in the New South Wales northwest, near the village of Breezer, will yield 200 million tonnes of coal over 30 years. Shenhua paid $300 million to the New South Wales government for an exploration licence covering almost 200 square kilometres of farmland and forest.
There's a state asset under the ground that the state owns and will want to develop to help improve the state for everybody.
Or fighting the whole thing in total.
Absolutely.
There shouldn't be a mine on this sort of land.
Yeah, absolutely. And
landholders on the Liverpool Plains have been fighting mining projects in this region for 6 years. They blockaded a property to prevent BHP drillers from exploring below the farmland. But BHP still has plans for mining in the ridge country, and the farmers are determined to try to block them and to block Shenhua.
Well, the battle here is enormous. What we are standing in here is the foodlands of Australia.
Fiona Simpson is the newly elected president of the New South Wales Farmers Association.
Food security across the world is going to be one of our biggest issues. Yet by the same token, we see exploration licences and mining licences being granted over some of our most valuable agricultural lands.
Shenhua's decision to buy the farmland it plans to mine has brought the company more unwanted attention, triggering a debate over foreign investment controls.
I think the community is suddenly finding that there is a large amount of foreign investment that is actually, to all intents and purposes, slipping under the radar.
How much have you paid and how many people have you bought property from?
We've purchased 14,700 hectares and we've paid $167 million for that.
Shenhua has bought 43 properties, offering well above market value for the land.
But I would suspect that most of them have got more money than they thought they would ever dream possible for their places.
When Shenhua presented its offer to Chris Rowarth, he was quick to accept. He had been juggling off-farm work to make ends meet.
With a young family and a bit of ambition, really the decision was made for us.
But he was targeted by some mining protesters as a sellout.
We got a little bit of stick for selling, but I think any reasonable person put in the same position would come up with the same decision. And look, you live with your own decisions, and I don't have any trouble sleeping.
Chris Rowarth has leased the farm back from Shenhua and will try to work around the mining while using most of the windfall from the sale of his property to expand his operations on country elsewhere. Only the CLIFT family, the first settlers of the Liverpool Plains, are determined to hold on to their farmland in the Shenhua mining zone. Michael Clift's property stretches from the Black Soil Plains into the ridges that will be mined.
I won't be going anywhere in a hurry, that's for sure. You don't get quality land like this anywhere else. So, I just love farming and this is where I'll be staying.
Shenhua insists its land purchases are only for the life of its mining operation.
All the land we've purchased has come under the Foreign Investment Review Board rules for mining purposes only. So we can only own the land for mining purposes. When the mine is completed, we have to sell the land.
I think a lot of people now are seeing purchases such as the Shenhua purchase, for example, where they are going to be mining our coal. They are basically going to be sterilising our agricultural resource for 2 or 3 generations and exporting that coal as to not necessarily serving much of a national interest.
But this is as much a fight about water resources as it is about the coal reserves. There are major concerns about how the proposed mining operations could affect the precious supplies of underground water that grow the food.
This is about whether we are prepared to compromise water resources and prime agricultural land for extractive industries. It's as simple as that. It's not very hard to imagine what it's going to do here.
No.
Tim Duddy and others who led the fight against BHP's exploration attempts won agreement that a study be conducted into the groundwater supplies before any mining could be considered. But news that Shenhua has decided to drill 3 deep test holes on a block it has bought on the Liverpool Plains has triggered a new alarm.
One will go in and test the aquifer, and in the fraction...
Shenhua insists it's simply carrying out water tests. But neighbour Andrew Pershouse is unconvinced and plans to form a barricade to stop the drilling rig.
I want future generations to know that farmers in the Liverpool Plains took a stand on this, and it has to stop. And it's the conquer and divide.
All the assurances from mining companies are greeted with a high degree of scepticism on the Liverpool Plains. There's an atmosphere of distrust, and it's spreading to many other rural areas where mining companies are widening their search for resources. Concerns that are being fuelled by the controversial tapping of coal seam gas reserves.
The concern about coal seam gas is the water and the effects on the water, the effects on the water table of changing the pressures underneath the surface of the earth, and also, of course, what are you going to do with all that water that they pump up to extract the gas?
Well, I think in parts of New South Wales and Queensland we are heading very quickly towards an ignition point.
Tony WINDSOR, the federal independent MP who was raised on the Liverpool Plains, believes state governments have mismanaged the resources sector, and he's introducing legislation in the next session of Parliament to give the Commonwealth greater powers to intervene.
Allow the Commonwealth to overrule the states in terms of some of these developments. So I guess that's a veiled threat in a sense. The states could have fixed this some years ago.
Shenhua has already made a huge investment in these hills. It's not about to fold and leave. The farmers are gearing up for a long battle.
100 years down the track, will we just be a quarry, or will we still have some decent farmland to produce food for the people of Australia?
Paul Lockyer reporting.